What do the haters get right about Notre Dame's schedule, and what do they get wrong about it? And that is what we're going to discuss in today's video with Blue and Gold beat writer Jack Sobel. Folks, please do hit the thumbs up on this video. Subscribe to the Blue and Gold YouTube channel for more content. And of course, go to blueandgold.com for so much more coverage. You can subscribe at 75% off right now. That comes out to just $30 for your first year. First up, Jack, this is something that you wrote in an article, so we're bringing that written article that you did recently to life here on the Blue and Gold YouTube channel. But here's what the haters do get right. The schedule's weak. Jack, tell us about it.
Yeah, so the premise of this piece was basically this and every other year. You get all the college football pundits and Notre Dame haters online going like, wah schedule, wah independence, and it makes me want to jump in the St. Joseph River. Especially because those arguments go so far that they make themselves look stupid, even though the broader points sometimes aren't wrong. So I'll go into the specifics here. What the haters get right, it is a weak schedule. The most generous word you can use or phrase you could use is top heavy, because they do play 3 top 20 teams, including what I believe is a bona fide national championship contender in Miami. That is an easy candidate for game of the year. But until BYU on October 17th, they play precisely 0 teams who lost fewer than 8 games. They also have SMU on the 21st. They got the BYU game. Those are 2 good teams. And then Boston College, more than 8 losses. Syracuse, more than 8 losses. The only team, aside from that top 3, that lost fewer than 8 games last season is Navy, and Notre Dame has won that game over the past 3 years by an average of 41 points.
Yeah, like when you see Notre Dame has 3 ranked opponents in the preseason on their schedule, but then you compare that to like Texas, who I think has like 7, that was like, oh, because I've been defending Notre Dame's schedule. I'm like, guys, it's not as bad as it seems to be, but I think some of the things that you're going to address in this video will kind of show my thoughts as well. But here's what the haters get wrong. Notre Dame's schedule is not uniquely weak among contenders. Looking at you, Texas Tech.
Yeah, you look at the top 10 on ESPN's FPI, which is the AP poll hadn't gotten out when I had written this article. Notre Dame's schedule ranked 56th, which is not great, but Texas Tech 71st. Miami's in the ballpark. It's 41st. There's not a huge difference between the 56th ranked schedule and the 45th ranked schedule. Indiana, Oregon, 33, 26, also outside the top 25 in terms of strength of schedule. So it's not uniquely weak among contenders. This is a problem I have with a lot of these arguments, is that they act like Notre Dame is the only team playing a weak or top heavy schedule. It's frankly ridiculous. If they play in the ACC, they're scheduled to rank 14th out of 18 teams. The Big 12 are ranked 10th out of 17. Again, not a rare albatross of a schedule among Power 4 teams.
But Jack, Notre Dame is going out of their way to make the easiest schedule in the world, right? Like they predicted years ago when these things get announced that Michigan State would and Wisconsin would be bad, and that North Carolina and some of these teams and Stanford would just fall off a cliff, right? Like, no, the haters got that wrong. Notre Dame does not handpick their schedule.
Yeah, that's often the retort when you make the correct argument that Notre Dame's schedule is not uniquely weak among contenders. The retort is, well, they don't handpick their schedule. Notre Dame does. That is somewhere between disingenuous and just categorically wrong, because an average of 5 games per year Notre Dame does not pick. That is their ACC slate. So if you look at their ACC slate and you look at the preseason poll in the ACC, they play number 1 Miami and number 2 SMU. That very good top end of the ACC schedule. The rest of the ACC schedule is the bottom 4 teams out of the 18-team ACC. That is not middle of the pack. Not like, oh, they're just not Big Ten SEC teams. That is the bottom 4 teams in what is supposed to be one of if not the worst Power 4 conferences in the game. So that is, again, Notre Dame does not pick its ACC opponents. They're part of a rotating schedule. That is not on Notre Dame. Notre Dame also obviously tries to schedule marquee non-ACC games. Wisconsin, Michigan State, programs that have had really good years in the past couple decades. Even Purdue, which is not a proud football heritage by any stretch, has obviously had stretches better than it is right now. Notre Dame did not predict that Wisconsin, Michigan State, and Purdue would be at historical low points for their programs at this point in time. And then there's also the matter of a lot of these teams don't want to schedule Notre Dame. Texas has obviously talked a lot about backing out. USC did back out and drop Notre Dame from the schedule. They replaced them with BYU, a very comparable team. They actually tied the BYU, ironically tied USC in the AP poll. But for a variety of reasons, Notre Dame did not handpick its schedule in the way that people seem to think.
All right, Jack, continuing on, here's what the haters get wrong again. Notre Dame's schedule does not automatically make the Irish overrated.
Yeah, it's something that feels like it shouldn't be necessary to say out loud, but unfortunately, it very much is. Take culture does what it does. You can only play the teams in front of you. And especially in the past 2 seasons, Notre Dame has blasted the teams they're supposed to blast. The exceptions are obviously NIU, a closer game than it should have been against Boston College. By and large, their margin of victory has been representative of a team that is a national championship contender. FPI, the predictive metrics have consistently, SP Plus is another one of those, have consistently named Notre Dame as a national championship contender despite their tough schedule. Obviously, last year it was harder to justify because they lost to the 2 best teams on their schedule. That's why they missed the playoffs. It happens. We'll talk about that more in the next segment. For the absolute most part, Notre Dame has been every bit the title contender that is looked like to the eye test over the past 2 seasons.
And the last thing that the haters get right, and make sure, folks, you hit the thumbs up on this video, is it does reduce their margin for error. In other words, like Notre Dame left out last season. If you, as we have established here, it's not necessarily Notre Dame's fault that the schedule is what it is this year. It's more their fault than other schools because they do pick more games to play than teams that are in a conference. But again, like there's so much out of Notre Dame's control here. But anyways, Jack, it does reduce their margin for error.
Right. So think about what happened last year and strip away all the I'll generously call it tomfoolery that led to Notre Dame missing the playoff. The needless move of Alabama over Notre Dame after the close win over Auburn, and then not moving Alabama down after they got blown out in the SEC championship game. The dog and pony show with Miami, where they moved Miami ahead of Notre Dame despite having zero data between that and when they actually when they last played and when they actually did that. Strip all of that away and just consider Notre Dame's resume, because it absolutely put them at risk of missing the playoff, depending on what happened around them. They were in this position after they had lost their first 2 games where they needed to win out and they needed help. And the reason they needed help is because the schedule had set them up to where if they didn't win one of their 2 marquee games, they did not have a real chance to win a third. USC at home does not count, where USC has historically been awful outside of the Western time zone in the past couple of years under Lincoln Riley. So they just did not have an opportunity to win that marquee game, even though the quality of play on the field indicated that they definitely would have had a great shot if they did get that opportunity. They just didn't have a chance to prove it. So your margin for error is very low right now. Like if you go 10-2, but your losses are Miami and BYU, that would put Notre Dame in pretty much the same situation it was last year, where they're relying on an unpredictable and oftentimes nonsensical committee to determine their fate. So that's what Leave No Doubt is all about. With the schedule that they have right now, it reduces their margin of error.
Folks, let us know what you think about this, whether you're a Notre Dame hater or a Notre Dame fan. What do you think about these points? You like them? Are you more of a hater after this? I don't know. You let me know in the comments of this video. Even if you're a hater, I don't know. You watch this whole video, so go ahead and hit the thumbs up. Make sure you guys check out blueandgold.com for more Notre Dame coverage.